Thank you for joining me again on the Adaptive Man podcast. I'm your host, Michael Reed, and today is going to be the next part in the series for the Men's Guide to Emotions. We're going to talk about anger. A lot of dudes can probably resonate with this, myself included. Anger is a very popular one with men, and if you're a woman watching this and listen to this, maybe you have a better understanding of what's going on internally when it comes to understanding and trying to channel and productively use and work with and have a healthy relationship to anger. Um, First and foremost, just like all other emotions that we can experience as humans, anger is a very, 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 very old emotion. And when I say old, I mean evolutionarily speaking, anger is a very old emotion. Simplest demonstration of this is that even deep sea, bottom of the ocean crustaceans and crabs and lobsters can display some form of aggression, some form of what we would say anger. In a crazy way, we actually do share some of the chemicals in our nervous systems as these deep sea crustaceans and lobsters and crabs and things do, which means that anger itself has been around for a really, really, really effing long time. And so it's not going anywhere. You're not going to be able to just ignore it. You're not going to be able to push it down indefinitely. Understanding it, working with it, and channeling it productively is one of the best things you can do as a man in order to have a healthier and better relationship to your emotions, to be more productive and worthwhile in life. So, generally speaking, anger is a means by which to establish and protect boundaries and to guard those things which we might find worthy of protection, or maybe we find sacred, not only within ourselves, but also within others. And sometimes we may project that which we need to protect within ourselves by protecting it externally in others, such as guarding a child from harm or protecting yourself from, or protecting your inner child, whatever you want to call that, from harm in a way. But also, we sometimes may project our anger onto other people who bring up wounded parts of ourselves that are in need of expression when those parts resonate in a way when we see them in others. So let me just rewind that for a second. A boundary, in a nutshell, could just be your way of saying, my mind has established that I do not feel comfortable if people get within 3 to 4 inches of my face or my body unwarranted. It's one thing where I say, I'm going to go to hug this person because I know who they are and I actually would like to give them a hug as a means of connection and solidarity, versus a complete stranger that walks up to you right face to face. You're going to feel some anger. What's happening? Your body is generating a certain amount of energy in order to basically say, you've just trespassed past a personal boundary of mine, and I need to exhibit some form of energy in order to maintain or repel you back from that boundary, whatever it may be. You might say, like, I find worthy of protection that people do not get close to me unwarranted, undesired in a way. Maybe it's a guy who's trying to threaten you with a fight. You've ever seen guys who go like face to face and they're like basically staring each other down. They're almost like trying to trespass past a boundary. And then the response is an anger response of saying, like, you're not supposed to be this close. I do not feel comfortable with you being this close to me right now. And even when you maybe see other people doing certain things, like if you see somebody trying to inflict harm on a child, for example, you might feel anger in yourself. Why? Because that might be reflective of something you would not want someone to do for your child or for you when you were a child. And so anger essentially is one of evolution's ways of basically saying, here's some energy that I'm going to give to you as a means with which to try to protect and maintain boundaries in a certain way, or protect certain outcomes of a situation that I want to see happen. I don't want this person to get too close to me. But you also might feel like anger when someone gets too far away from you. That might be a different form of a boundary, but something worthy of protection. Because when a person, maybe you're in a relationship with somebody, maybe you're close to somebody, and then they're walking away from you, you might feel anger rise because the thing worth protecting is the connection itself. And when they start to walk away and leave you, you're starting to your mind is starting to see, this is going to lead to them disrupting our connection that I want to maintain and I find worthy of protecting. Therefore, I'm feeling some anger to try to stop it from happening, because I'm trying to use the anger to change the outcome of what I think I see happening and projecting into the future. going forward. And we also may find anger pop up in regards to what we see in other people. So maybe if you were a person who has had struggle with losing weight and you see somebody else who's lost a lot of weight and they're very happy, and you all of a sudden you feel angry. What are you really angry about? Or angry because there's a part of yourself that might know I could probably achieve this if I wanted to. If I'm trying to lose weight, if I'm struggling with my weight, this is just an example. There's plenty of other things you can point to. If I'm trying to lose weight and I see somebody else succeeding in losing weight, it might invoke anger in me to think, oh, there's a part of myself that I know could do that, but I haven't been able to like wrangle it in and get the structure down and the discipline needed to eat clean food and exercise and get to sleep on time and cut out bad habits. And now I'm generating some anger that I can then try to use to try to create to change my own outcomes in some regard. You might find yourself getting angry when you eat something you know you shouldn't be eating because you're trying to lose weight. You might find yourself feeling angry when you do an activity I know I should be going for a walk right now or for exercising. I know I should be, but I can't get myself to. Oh, I'm so mad about it. This is the body basically saying like the outcome you're looking to adjust and change is not happening. So let me give you some anger in order to try and generate more energy to try to motivate you to move in that direction. But to be careful not to turn that anger inwards and turn it into like a form of self shame and self battering and attacking yourself. That the anger can be basically a sign to say, okay, this is something clearly important to me. If I'm saying I want to lose weight and I'm struggling to lose weight, and I see some people losing weight and it makes me angry, something worth examining because more anger the anger may help you move in the direction of changing your habits, but it also could very easily turn inwards and start attacking you, which can cause to feel more anger can transmute into shame, and the shame could then turn into more feelings of guilt and shame, which could turn into more like urge to feel sedate and comfort yourself, creating this doom loop of I eat junk food and don't exercise. I'm angry at myself. I feel shame about myself. I need to quell the shame. I eat junk food. I'm angry at myself. I feel shame about myself. I eat junk food, and it creates a doom, like a little cycle there. So just being able to identify what is the anger trying to do? What kind of boundaries is the anger trying to maintain? What is it trying to guard? Or what kind of outcome is it trying to change based on what's happening so far? Unfortunately, for many men in society, men are often rewarded for expressing what general overall society will see as a functional emotion. So many men have a pretty good idea of what it feels like to be angry and almost being approve of it. It's like, oh yeah, he's angry. Why? Because he's a dude. It's what they do. But very commonly, like emotions can be transmuted, meaning you might actually be feeling shame, but openly expressing shame might not be something that is publicly rewarded in our society. A good example of this might be if you go to certain Asian cultures, apologies and certain kind of like public awareness of like shame, even a super a what's the word I'm looking for, an extreme example of expression and digestion of shame might be something like seppuku, where in Japanese culture it was ritualistic suicide in order to maintain honor because shame was invoked in the family. And so in some cultures, certain emotions might be rewarded more than others, but generally speaking, in most cultures, men are rewarded in some sense for expressing anger, but the anger could actually just be sadness transmuted into anger. Could be shame transmuted into anger. Could be frustration transmuted to anger. Could be grief transmuted into anger. So to be careful to recognize that sometimes when you're feeling anger, it might not be just anger. It might be other things that the body is saying, I don't know how to, either I don't feel safe to express shame or frustration or grief or depression. So I'm going to transmute it into anger and then express it. And the problem with this is that it doesn't actually address the underlying problem, which is that you're actually feeling shame or grief or sadness or whatever it may be. You're just changing it into anger and then trying to push it out, but that sadness and grief and shame is still there at the end of the day. And sometimes we can anticipate, the mind is basically trying to anticipate and predict the future. Preventative anger might be a way of projecting what you think is going to happen and using anger in anticipation of it. Or reactive anger might be the mind generating anger to try to fix an outcome that has already happened. Acknowledging that anger is a very useful emotion. It's kept us alive for millions of years. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. But to acknowledge that sometimes Anger is not what the situation calls for, but knowing how to acknowledge it, respect it, and say what's actually underneath this that needs to be addressed. What do I actually need to, what am I transmuting right now? Am I transmuting my grief into anger? Am I transmuting my shame into anger? Am I transmuting my confusion into anger? Not understanding the situation, which is causing uncertainty and anxiety. I'm taking that anxiety, I'm going to transmute it into anger. Letting it out essentially means letting yourself feel what you need to feel, ideally in a safe and contained space with somebody you trust. Could be a friend, could be a coworker, could be a family member, could be a therapist, could be whatever, it could be a coach, whatever it is, and not letting it bottle up. Very commonly with men, I think one of the leading causes of men's death is, unfortunately nowadays, one of the leading causes of male death is suicide. And it's a heavy topic that we'll get into further in a future episode. But a lot of times, suicide might be the end result of anger turned inwards for far too long until the body could no longer maintain and keep up the emotions inside and looked for a solution to stop it. Male suicide rate currently globally is over 3 to 4 to 1 compared to women. And the vast majority of men that do take their lives don't show many signs that it was on its way, that it was going to be an outcome of a result. So understanding that, maybe if you are a man experiencing extreme amounts of anger, but you don't know what else you're feeling, you might actually be feeling other things. You actually need to just sit down and spend some time with somebody. It could be a counselor, a therapist, or a coach, or somebody in your life to sort through your feelings, figure out what is the actual underlying issue. What is the actual problem going on here? I'm not letting it blend you from the inside out. In terms of physiological expression, very often for most men, like for example, for me, when I feel anger, I know my face gets flushed and red, my chest kind of gets I feel my heartbeat start to go pretty quick. I feel like almost just like a buzzing feeling that goes across my arms. I'm like from across the chest, across the arms, and the hands. I feel like a buzzy, and I kind of have an urge to just start balling a fist and have a hard time breathing. It might be different for everyone, but generally speaking, a blood pressure spike, skin can get flush or red, your face might show certain, obviously the angry face is one thing, but sometimes internal physiological signs you can use to identify, I think I'm experiencing some anger right now. Take a few minutes, take a few breaths, walk away from the situation. Don't say anything stupid. Give yourself some time to digest and calm yourself down, because the emotional responses, as we talked about in the first video, is not under your control. You don't get to choose that you feel anger. You choose what to do with your anger. You choose what to do with your anger, with sadness, with your grief, with your emotions. And letting it out in a healthy way means not putting it onto somebody else or having it turn inwards and internalizing and blending you and assaulting yourself and reinforcing a doom loop in the mind of how the anger can start to compound on itself in a toxic and dangerous way. If this resonated with you, if you're a man that found some support with this, I appreciate if you can let me know in the comments below. Send a like. Let me know if anybody you know in your life has been struggling with their anger. Maybe send this video to them. And if you want to hear more, I encourage you to subscribe. Let me know what you like and what you didn't like about this. I'm always looking for feedback to improve the podcast. And until next time, with the next sequence of the Men's Guide to Emotion, have a great day.